There are few names in Hollywood that evoke a sense of respect and admiration as much as Robert Redford. From his iconic roles in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid to the masterful direction of Ordinary People, Redford's life has been a journey filled with triumphs, deep personal tragedies, and quiet moments of introspection. But despite his fame, Redford has always kept a certain part of himself hidden, leaving fans wondering what lies beneath the surface of this Hollywood legend. Now, at 87, Robert Redford has finally decided to pull back the curtain and reveal secrets that have haunted him for decades, secrets that will leave you stunned. So, what could he have been hiding all this time? And why now? Well, stay tuned, as in this video, we'll dive into Redford's life and see what he has to say. From his early years to his latest revelations, we'll explore the man behind the legend and uncover the truth about Redford. Humble beginnings, a world far from fame. Robert Redford's journey didn't start with the red carpet or golden awards. His life began in the unglamorous world of post-Depression America. Born on August 18, 1936 in Santa Monica, California, Redford's childhood was shaped by the modest means of his parents. His father, Charles Robert Redford Sr., was an accountant who worked long hours to make ends meet. His mother, Martha Hart, took on the role of caregiver, providing the emotional support young Robert needed in the tough surroundings they lived in. The Redford family started in Van Nuys, a quiet suburban neighborhood in the San Fernando Valley, but circumstances would soon change. By 1938, the family moved to Sawtell, a less affluent area, marked by economic struggles and a mix of different ethnic communities. It was in this neighborhood that Redford would face his first real-life challenges, far removed from the Hollywood limelight. Growing up in a working-class environment, Redford often found himself clashing with local Hispanic gangs. As a young boy, he became a target of bullying. But rather than let this bring him down, Redford developed an unshakable toughness and determination. It was this resilience that would later define his career. Looking back now, at 87, Redford admits that these early experiences shaped his worldview and gave him the drive to pursue greatness. But these weren't the only challenges he faced as a child. The hidden battle. Redford's struggle with polio. When Robert was just 11 years old, he faced a challenge that could have ended his journey before it even began. In the 1940s, polio was a terrifying disease, and despite modern medical advances, it was a fate that could easily cripple lives. Young Robert contracted a mild case of polio, which left him bedridden for 2 weeks. But his mother Martha, sensing that he needed more than rest to recover, took him on a trip to Yosemite National Park. This simple act of love would change Redford's life in ways that neither of them could have anticipated. Yosemite, with its towering trees and untouched landscapes, was a world away from the tough streets of Los Angeles. And in that beauty, Robert discovered a passion for nature that would stay with him for the rest of his life. This wasn't just a fleeting interest. This trip sparked something deep within him, a love for the natural world that would later influence his filmmaking and environmental activism. At 87, Redford finally admits just how much that experience shaped his life. It wasn't just a healing moment from illness. It was the birth of a lifelong love for the outdoors. Teenage years, a rebel with a cause. As Redford transitioned into his teenage years, the pressures of adolescence weighed heavily on him. He wasn't the model student, far from it. Redford has admitted that he was a bad student, often uninterested in the academic side of life. Instead, he found solace in 2 areas: sports and art. At Van Nuys High School, Redford excelled as a baseball player, earning a scholarship to the University of Colorado. His natural athleticism made him a standout, and it seemed like a career in sports could be on the horizon. But beneath the surface, Robert Redford was restless. He wasn't content to follow the traditional path laid out before him. His rebellious side soon began to take over. Redford partied late into the night, drank heavily, and lived life on the edge. His wild behavior eventually led to his downfall in college. His scholarship was revoked due to his drinking habits, and he found himself adrift, unsure of his future. The turning point came when Redford was arrested for driving a car with stolen jewelry in the trunk. Though the details of the incident remain murky, it was a wake-up call for the young man who had been searching for direction. It was clear that the life he had been living was unsustainable. This moment of reckoning forced Redford to take a hard look at his choices and decide what kind of man he wanted to be. A journey to Europe, self-discovery and artistic awakening. With his academic career in shambles, Redford decided to embark on a journey of self-discovery. He traveled across Europe, immersing himself in the rich cultures of France, Italy, and Spain. This period of travel allowed him to escape the pressures of his past and find clarity in the art and history that surrounded him. It was during these travels that Redford began to think seriously about pursuing a career in the arts. Europe offered Redford the freedom to explore his creativity without the constraints of societal expectations. He wandered through art galleries, studied the works of great painters, and began to see the world through a different lens. It was a transformative time for him, one that would lay the foundation for his future career in the arts. When he returned to the United States, Redford was no longer the aimless young man who had lost his way in college. He had found a new purpose: acting. The road to stardom, from Broadway to Hollywood. Upon his return to the U.S., Redford enrolled in the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City, where he began to hone his acting skills. His early years as an actor were filled with struggle, rejection, and long hours of hard work. But Redford was determined to make a name for himself, and his perseverance eventually paid off. In 1963, Redford landed a breakthrough role on Broadway in Neil Simon's Barefoot in the Park. His portrayal of Paul Bratter, a newlywed navigating the challenges of married life, was a hit. Audiences loved his charm and wit, and critics began to take notice. This role was a turning point in Redford's career, setting the stage for his eventual transition to Hollywood. In 1967, Redford reprised his role in the film adaptation of Barefoot in the Park, co-starring with Jane Fonda. The film was a box office success, and it solidified Redford's place as a rising star in the film industry. But it wasn't until 1969, with the release of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, that Redford truly became a household name. His portrayal of the Sundance Kid, opposite Paul Newman's Butch Cassidy, became one of the most iconic performances in cinematic history. Tragedy strikes, the losses that shaped him. While Redford's career was reaching new heights, his personal life was marked by unimaginable loss. In 1959, Redford and his wife, Lola Van Wagenen, faced a tragedy that would forever change them. Their firstborn son, Scott, died at just 10 weeks old due to sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS. The grief of losing a child is something no parent should ever have to endure. And for Redford, it left a deep scar that would never fully heal. Redford has rarely spoken about this loss, but in a rare interview in 2011, he opened up about the impact it had on his life. He said, "It was really hard. We were very young. I had my first theater job, which didn't pay much. We didn't know anything about sudden infant death syndrome, so as a parent, you blame yourself. It creates a scar that never completely heals." 3 years after Scott's death, the couple welcomed another son, James. But even this joyful moment was not without its complications. James was born 7 weeks premature and faced several health challenges early on. Despite the odds, James survived, but his life would be marked by battles with illness. As a teenager, James was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, and by the time he was 31, he needed a liver transplant due to a rare autoimmune disease. The search for a liver was agonizing for the Redford family, and Robert once described the 12 weeks of waiting as the worst of their lives. James survived the transplant and went on to carve out his own career as a filmmaker and activist. But in 2020, tragedy struck once more. James passed away at the age of 58 after a battle with bile duct cancer. Losing 2 sons in one lifetime is a grief that few can comprehend, and for Redford, it is a pain that will stay with him forever. The Director's Chair, a new chapter in storytelling. While Redford continued to achieve success as an actor, he wasn't content to stay in front of the camera. In 1980, he took on a new challenge, directing. His directorial debut came with the film Ordinary People, a deeply emotional drama about a family grappling with the loss of a son. The film was a critical and commercial success, earning 6 Oscar nominations and winning 4, including Best Director for Redford. For a first-time director, winning an Academy Award is an incredible achievement, but for Redford, it was more than just a trophy. It was a validation of his ability to tell deeply human stories. Ordinary People was a film that resonated with audiences on an emotional level, and it solidified Redford's reputation as not just a talented actor, but a gifted storyteller. In 1994, Redford returned to the director's chair with Quiz Show, a film that explored the quiz show scandals of the 1950s. This time, Redford tackled themes of corruption, morality, and the consequences of fame. The film was another critical success, earning widespread praise for its thought-provoking narrative and complex characters. The creation of Sundance, Redford's gift to independent cinema. Perhaps one of Robert Redford's greatest contributions to the world of film is his role in championing independent filmmakers. In 1981, he founded the Sundance Institute, a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting and nurturing independent artists. The Sundance Film Festival, which grew out of the institute, quickly became the premier showcase for independent films, giving a platform to countless filmmakers who might never have had the opportunity to break into the industry. Redford's passion for independent cinema was born out of his belief that true artistry comes from taking risks and telling stories that matter. Films like Napoleon Dynamite, Whiplash, and Reservoir Dogs all got their start at Sundance, and the festival has become a launching pad for some of the most innovative and daring films of the last few decades. Through the Sundance Institute, Redford has not only given a voice to independent filmmakers, but has also helped shape the future of cinema itself. His commitment to nurturing new talent and promoting diversity in storytelling has left an indelible mark on the industry, and Sundance continues to be a beacon of creativity and innovation. A life of activism, fighting for what matters. Throughout his career, Redford has used his platform to advocate for causes close to his heart. Long before environmentalism became a mainstream concern, Redford was an outspoken advocate for protecting the natural world. He has been a trustee for the Natural Resources Defense Council for decades and has worked tirelessly to promote clean energy solutions and prevent environmental degradation. One of his most notable moments as an environmental activist came in 2013, when he publicly opposed the Keystone Pipeline, a controversial project that threatened the environment. Redford's involvement in the fight was so influential that it garnered attention from industry leaders and politicians alike. But Redford's activism doesn't stop at environmental issues. He has also been a vocal supporter of Native American rights, LGBTQ+ rights, and the arts. His dedication to social justice and equality has made him a powerful voice for change, and he continues to use his platform to advocate for those who are often marginalized or overlooked. Reflections on a legendary career. At 87, Robert Redford has lived a life filled with both extraordinary highs and heart-wrenching lows. He has faced unimaginable personal tragedy, achieved the highest levels of success in his career, and used his platform to make the world a better place. Yet through it all, Redford has remained humble, grounded, and committed to telling stories that matter. In recent years, Redford has stepped back from acting, announcing his retirement in 2018. However, he later admitted that the decision might have been premature, leaving the door open for future projects. Whether or not Redford decides to return to the screen, his legacy as an actor, director, and activist is already firmly cemented. As he approaches his 88th year, Redford continues to reflect on the lessons he's learned throughout his life. In an interview with his grandson, he admitted, "I'm getting tired of acting." For someone who has spent decades in front of the camera, this shift in focus makes sense. Redford has expressed a desire to return to painting, a passion he feels offers him more control and creative satisfaction. But even as Redford steps back from the limelight, his influence on the industry remains as strong as ever. So, what do you think about Robert Redford? Is he the greatest actor of all time? Or the most influential director? Well, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if this video made you appreciate Redford's work even more, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.